Well, we've looked at various ways to process images and extract features from them. And hopefully you've seen that to a computer, images are just numeric arrays on which mathematical and statistical operations can be performed. Now that means that we can apply similar machine learning techniques to images just as we do to any other data. So, for example, we can train a classification model by tagging images with a label, like these images of cars and these images of rockets. Then we can use the classification model to predict the appropriate tags for new images. The Custom Computer Vision Cognitive Service provides a framework for building custom image classifiers, so you can build AI solutions that identify images of objects that are important to you. So to take a look at custom image classification, we are going to use the Custom Vision API. And I want you to imagine that we are working for a very specialized grocer's company. And what we're doing is we only sell carrots and apples. And what I really want to be able to do is to automatically detect whether some object that's placed down is a carrot or an apple. So let's take a look at how we might use that kind of classification approach when we're looking at these from an AI program's perspective. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this custom vision URL here, customvision.ai. And this is a service I can sign up for. It's available to me through the cognitive services. And I can create projects specifically for my own custom sets of image classification. So we're going to create a new project here. And we'll call it fruit and veg. And there are various existing domains or subject areas, if you like. And this is obviously falls into the category of food. So we'll go with food and we'll create a project. And once I've created the project, the first thing it's obviously going to need is some images. We need to train our classification model using some existing images for which we already know what the appropriate tags are. So I'm going to go and add some images. And I'll just go and browse some local files on my file system. And the first thing I can see here is I've got some pictures of carrots. So I'll go ahead and grab these carrots, just take them all, and we'll upload these. And we'll add a tag to that of carrot. So we'll just upload those files, and that's going to add them to the project and assign them the tag carrot so that we know that these are pictures of carrots. So I can see here in my list of tags, carrot is selected, and these are all the images that are tagged with carrot. All right, well, that's one set of one class of image that I've got, if you like. I'm going to add some other images as well. So we'll just go ahead and go and find those. And actually, they're in the folder above, and these are apples. So we'll go ahead and add all of our apple images. And obviously, we will just tag those as well. And so that uploads our apple images, and now I can see I've got all my different images here. I can see all of them that way, and if I just want to see the ones that are apples, we'll just clear that tag. So it's definitely clearly tagged apples as apples and carrots as carrots. Okay, well what I want to do now is to train my classification model using these images. Now there aren't very many images here. Obviously the more images you add, the more discerning your model will be, but this should be enough to get going with. So we'll go ahead and kick off our training. And it's going to train those, it's going to withhold some images to do some testing with, and actually we end up with a pretty impressive performance there of 100%. That's really because there's very small images with very little to tell between them, but you would get more realistic precision and recall depending on the number of images that you upload. But we've now got our model trained, and I'm just going to set this as being the default model for this particular project, or the default iteration. I could iterate lots of times and train it lots of different times and choose whatever iteration I want, but I'm going to choose this as my default. And I'm going to get the information that I'm going to need from a client application to actually call this classification model and use it. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can upload an image, or you can specify a URL to an image for it to test, and we're just going to use a URL. So we need to have the prediction key. That's the key for my project. That's what authenticates me. And we need to have the the URL for my project. Now it gives me the entire URL here. Actually, all I need out of this, if I just scroll along here, is this project ID here. So I'm just going to grab that, and we will go and have a look at our Python code. So I've got some Python code here, and basically I'm importing the pill library and the matplotlib pyplot library just so I can display the image and so on. And I'm importing some HTTP libraries here so I can make my HTTP request, and I'm going to be passing some JSON in that request. So we've got the JSON library. So everything I need to call that API just by making the request. And here's the URL of the image that I want it to classify. So it's basically called test.jpg. Can't really see it at the end there. There it is. Test.jpg. We're going to test that and find out whether that is an apple or a carrot. So I've got my prediction key already in here. That's the key for my account. I don't need to change that. What I do need to change is this project ID in here. So we'll change that. So that's the project I've just created. And basically what I'm going to do here is I've set the headers of my HTTP request to be content type is application JSON. We're passing up a JSON request. And here's the prediction key. So that's my key for my, my prediction service. There aren't any parameters, but there is a body, and that body just consists of some JSON that says the URL and then whatever the image URL is, so the URL to my test image. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this HTTPS connection to the cognitive services. I'm going to post this up to the custom vision version 1 prediction URL here. I'm going to pass in my project ID, and then there's a URL on the end of that, and then basically just the body and the parameters and the headers all gets passed up as one HTTP request, and we get the response from that. We'll read that response. It's going to be a JSON response, so we'll load that into a parsed JSON document. Now what actually happens is it's going to come back with all of the possible tags that could be applied to the image, and it's going to, for each of the tags, indicate what its probability is that it thinks that's the right tag. So we'll get a list of tags back, because of course images might have multiple tags associated with them. And what I want to do is I want to find the most probable tag, the tag that has the highest probability of being correct. And to do that, I'm just going to sort those predictions into the right order by tag. And then I'm going to go and display the image and the tag for that image above it. So let's go ahead and run it. And it predicts that the right tag for this is apple, and sure enough, here is my image, and that looks pretty much like an apple. So we've built a custom classifier for images that work very specifically with the images that I need to work with, and I'm able to use that to automate detection and identity of different images that my AI application sees.